See Emily play, of course, by
significant tune for
a
these
significant
places.
tune because they were the first band to play the Roundhouse in 1966 alongside Soft Machine.
That must have been a great show to have been at. When you like to have been at that show,
Not
the,
as much
the
as,
Softs and the Floyd.
not as much as I would have
Oh,
liked.
here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Ed O'Brien was on there last night. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Mark. Good.
Was it? How did you feel last night?
I was
Before
I was really nervous.
Were you?
It's like it's first ever UK European show.
Yeah, that's what we
Fifth
heard.
in total. You know, it's a start. I'm obviously not totally new to this, but Richard Hawley said this to me about 5 years ago. You know, the Sheffield sage that he is. He said it might only be 4 yards from stage centre to stage right.
Yes.
But it's more like 400.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
did it feel like that?
It did initially. It's starting to feel proper. You know, I'm still unsure. It's still early days, but you know what? I really enjoyed last night.
Did you get any tips for fronting a band from Phil Selway? because I remember asking Phil when he was on our show, saying, "Have we moved from the drums to the middle of the stage?"
That's even bigger.
I
right?
said, "How are you feeling?" He says, "Loving it."
Yeah, great. No, Phil was actually really good. He did actually. He's just always been really encouraging. He said, "Oh, you'll be great. It's a bit weird at first. You'll find that, and the more you do it, it's like a muscle, you know."
Yeah. It did sound, and we're not just idly flattering you now, we were in here taking it. It sounded amazing.
It did.
It really did sound like,
Wow,
you
thank
know,
you.
like, when I say like you had been doing it forever, I don't mean that in a kind of going through the motions way. It just sounded completely right and on it right from the word go.
Well, we've done a lot of rehearsals. We
Right.
we started in about the second week of January. We decamped to mid Wales, got everyone out in the countryside, and we rented this house where I did some of my record, and we did 2.5 weeks where we just hammered it, because you know when you're a band, it's like a stew. The more you do it, or the richer, the longer you do it, the better it becomes. So I knew that you sort of have to put the hours in, really. And also there was all the stuff about getting the sounds right, and these guys have never played together. None of us have played together, so we're all kind of, we're still finding our way. But it feels like a really good start.
Did you enjoy the sort of feeling that this is your project? So obviously you want to listen to what your musicians are saying to you, and you've got some incredible players on, you know, Omar Hakim, Nathan East, people like that. But it is what you say at the end of the day. So you don't have to kind of go through listening to Phil or Cos or Johnny or Tom. I mean, you can do what you want.
I can do what I want.
Do you like pulling the strings like a sinister puppeteer?
Well, it's do you know what? It's a weird thing, because I'll be honest with you, the first half of the record I didn't do that, because I worked with Flood and Catherine Marks.
Okay.
And if you work with people like this, they're co-creators. And Flood kept on saying to me, he said, "You know what do you think?" And I'm going, "Yeah, you know, this is," because I've been more of a consensus kind of, and I sort of awoke to it at one stage, because at one stage the record was sounding really bad, and I think I think that's the stage that a lot of records go through. A lot of records that I've worked on have gone through, and it was a moment of awakening, and it was like, no, what do I think? And then once I made that shift to like, okay, it's got to be like this, and this, it took off, and we got it.
What was was there a seed of the germ or whatever this analogy is of to want to do it? Was it, look, I want to play, I want to get these songs heard, I want to express a different part of myself that doesn't maybe naturally get found, get through in Radiohead?
Yeah, it's like, I guess it's like, I was talking about this the other day, that I think I always felt there was a slight hole, you know, in spite of all the success and the great creative place that Radiohead is and being a part of, for me there was always kind of something lacking, and I realized in the process what it was doing this. It's songwriting and singing, and that's filled the hole, and that's the only way can I explain it. There was never, I was actually played it the other way, because I thought, everyone else has done some really good work outside of the band, and I didn't want to be the one who brought something out and it wasn't very good. Do you know what I mean? And I felt like a responsibility, and I was like, no. And also, listen, I'm a dad. I've got a young family, and I wanted to be outside.
Away.
I wanted to be away, and I wanted to be away.
To
I just got that, yeah.
To have a legitimate reason to be away.
Yeah, but
No, sorry.
but once Radiohead was done, for touring, or I wanted to be with my family.
Yeah.
That was really, really important, because I realised this is such a, when they're little and they grow up, it's such an important time to be around, right? And you never get those years back, and now they're teenagers. So there wasn't much time, and then suddenly, I don't know, I just felt inspired. I suddenly worked out a way to write songs, because I'd always written riffs. And
I haven't seen the album, the credits.
Yeah.
So are the songs all solo composition?
Yeah.
And in a way, presumably a solo composition that would never go through Radiohead without being adorned by everyone else's contribution.
Yeah,
it?
Absolutely. And I think the big, also that Radiohead is serves the songs of Tom.
Right.
He is the singer, he's the lyricist. And so it doesn't serve my music.
Right.
So that's a big distinction. And I think that's one of the strengths of Radiohead, but that's why I had to do my own thing.
Yeah, yeah. And are you remotely competitive?
No, I'm not. I think other people are.
Did you play it to the guys in the band?
No, because we've hardly seen one another.
No, right.
Because we're like, it's like family. Because, you go off on tour. We've spent the last 35 years, we've spent more time with each other than anyone else.
Yeah.
So nowadays, when we're off tour and, everybody's doing their own thing. So,
Sure.
you get encouraging texts, and we have the odd meeting, but it's, it's all good.
Yeah.
Colin was here last night.
He was.
I saw him
surprised me. He didn't tell me he was coming.
You know what? I heard a little rumour. I heard that he'd not wanted to get on your guest list, as it were. He didn't want to bother you with that, so he sneaked in via a different room.
Right.
So that's I saw him on the way in.
Did you, when you got on, you said you were nervous before?
Yeah.
Did that sort of, but as soon, it became apparent that it was sounding great and people were loving it straight away. After like a couple of minutes and it settled, did you think, I love this? This is great. Did you start to feel in control?
Yeah, no, I don't think you ever feel in control. I mean, never feel in control on a radio gig, but you find a place of peace. And kind of like, this is it, and you're in the moment, and that's the most important thing as a musician, to be in the moment. And it's also, listen, the audience are amazing. It's a tough gig. They only know 2 songs, and it's a Saturday night, and they want to hear some bangers. But the last song, Brazil, which few people knew, there was an amazing response in the hall, in the room, and I was just like, wow, I had a real moment, and that felt, to me, that was just like, okay, once the album's out, this is the place that I want to get to.
We were talking about this yesterday, though, about how people react to it, because, of course, people love Radiohead. We all know this. But, some of Johnny's things, the soundtrack work and the different sort of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes people who want a Radiohead band,
yeah,
there isn't always that operating, and you're kind of offering that. so I think that people will love that and really come and meet you more than halfway on that.
Well, that would be amazing. I mean, for me, one of the big things that I had to learn on this record was, what is the music that's in my heart? Rather than, like, when you're in a band like Radiohead, there's a lot of, like, you feel an obligation to be on the frontier of sound, sonic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I tried to do that initially. I was like, I was trying to make an electronic record because I thought that's where the pioneers of sound are. And after about 6 weeks, I was like, this is rubbish. And I wasn't getting anything back. So there was an acoustic guitar in the corner of the room, and it was just like, what do I really want to do? I want to pick that up. And that, for me, has been the real lesson for me, is following my intuition. Rather than my head going, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, it'd be like, well, what do I feel? And that has been kind of the mantra of the record.
Right. Okay. So what happens now? What's the EOB plan for the rest of this year?
Album out in April, and then touring.
Right.
And really, I really want to hit the road. I really want to, I want to get better at this. I want to be a better singer, and the only way I'm going to become a better singer is by just doing it. I want the band to get better, and I feel like it's a really important time to be a musician, and I think it's a really important time to go out there, for want of a better word, spread the love.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I really, more so than any time.
Like in an extra musical way, not just about giving people good songs, but being a positive force for something for good. Yeah.
I think of, what I've been doing this since first record was in 90, or signed in 92. This feels like the most important time with what's going on to be a musician and to be a light. And I'm, or try to be a light. You know what I mean? And I feel like music has such an important part to play at bringing people together. safe spaces where we can forget what's going on, communing, reconnecting with one another. And things like Glastonbury, reconnecting with nature, reconnecting,
Be interesting to see what happens to that, because South by Southwest has been cancelled, of course. So we await the summer festival news, don't we? Really?
Yeah.
Has it given you, has this process given you any newfound respect and admiration for any other frontmen and lead singers that you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I hope Tom has always felt the love from me. I've always had enormous respect, and I was always the one going songs are 80% vocal, the rest of it 20% is the rest of us. I've understood the role of a singer, but I think the way that you feel it as a singer, you feel it more intense, you feel more intense the energy of the audience. Like, we did some shows in America, we did 4 shows, what they call underplays, which are kind of essentially club shows.
Okay.
Right.
But you can really feel the moment when the audience's attention starts to waver. And it's a bit like, come on, you feel you have to kind of get it back on track in a way. So that's kind of interesting.
So it's not, that's an interesting for listeners to hear from someone who's been in and is in big major rock bands, that you can still feel.
Yeah.
Hang on, I need to pull them back.
Yeah, and I think it's a singer's responsibility. I mean, I hope Tom feels that in a band that it's, it is a collective. We are a support network in Radiohead, and I think, he's not out there on his own, but he is the lead singer, and lead singers have. Bobby Gillespie used to be a next door neighbour, and I love Bobby, and Bobby texted me.
Was that noisy?
I couldn't say, you always banging on the wall.
Actually, do you know what was brilliant? It was about 10 years ago, and he used to pick up my boy Sal, and they used to play football with his boys in the park behind the house. Right. And it's the only time I've stood watching football talking about Noam Chomsky. But Bobby was brilliant, because Bobby texted me, said, "What are you doing, big man?" And I just told him it. And then I got the Bobby Gillespie manifesto of being a front man.
Oh, really?
Right.
And it's unrepeatable on air.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
Okay.
But it was brilliant.
Are you carrying it through? Are you channeling it?
No, I wasn't. I just was like, that's Bobby's manifesto.
Really?
Yeah.
He's doing these hand claps.
Clapping in front of you. You can't do that beyond the guitar.
Yeah.
Well, everybody loved it last night. We loved it. It was fantastic.
And everyone I've spoken to who heard it, not just us professionally obligated grovelling sycophants, but everybody I've spoken to about it said, "Did you hear?
It's a huge relief. It's a huge, because it was a big
fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we're going to hear something from it, which we're going to hear On My Own.
Yeah,
tell us something about that.
Well, it's an Ulrich Schnaus song,
right?
And he's you guys know of Ulrich Schnaus.
Great name, yeah.
Yeah, and I just kind of, I felt when I heard this song, I felt like it was in the place where my record is.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be great, because obviously that's one guy making this music, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to get to that place of, that a bit of rave, a bit of that, and live being played by musicians. So the Schnaus thing felt like a good one to try and do.
Right, okay. Well, here it is, and we'll see you down the road in the next few months.
See you soon.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
EOB. Do we call you EOB?
You can call me Ed.
We'll stick with Ed then.
Thanks.